Hi, Emilio. Let's take a look at your new set of essays, Domestic and International Travel Benefits and Drawbacks. Let's see what you said. Nowadays, many people are traveling both abroad and around their country for specific choices, either for vacation or live in another place for some time. I believe that it is worthwhile to interact with other cultures and knowing different places, both outer and inner country, but individuals need to save enough money. This essay will discuss this issue using examples from the Mexican government and personal experience to demonstrate points and support arguments. All right, well, your last sentence was fine. The other two sentences had some grammatical and lexical problems, so let's look at those. The first part was fine. You said, nowadays many people are traveling both abroad and within their country. And then I didn't like this section, or live in another place for some time. What would have made more sense is for specific, how about this? Nowadays, many people are traveling both abroad and within their country, either for vacation or for work purposes. All right, it's much cleaner, and I think it's a better all-around sentence like that. So I believe that it is worthwhile to interact with other cultures and know different, how about this, and know more places in one's country, but individuals need to save, and that should be V-E, not safe, because you wrote the adjective, we want the verb, and then the rest of it was okay. So on one hand, there's ample evidence that people either decide to take a vacation more often or live in another country for more than a year. Okay. There's no reason behind that is twofold. Firstly, day-a-day work in many countries is stressful, so that people need to take a break frequently for relaxing purposes. You don't mean day-a-day. I think you mean, let's see, what do you mean? Daily life, I guess? Daily life or daily work, or I'm not really sure. And it's not for relaxing purposes, but for relaxation purposes. Secondly, there are people that are looking to change their lifestyle and know other cultures and places around the world. In the last few years, the Mexican government has reported that in vacation season, the tourism, So the Mexican government has reported that during vacation season, tourism has increased 10% more than in past years. Also, that 1 in 5 Mexicans leaves Mexico for more than 5 years. Therefore, it's clear that people are investing more time and money in this kind of activity. Now, I don't really understand where you're talking about the benefits here, the advantages. It really seems to me more like you're talking about the reasons why people travel, but that's not what they asked you. They asked you the benefits of this. Okay? So you could have taken some of these same ideas, but you needed to kind of shift the way you spoke about them. So it's not that people decide to take a vacation, but just that more and more people are traveling in their leisure time, and then or you could have said there's ample evidence that there are benefits of people traveling in their leisure time. One such benefit is that it provides relaxation. People are very stressed nowadays because of the pace of life, and studies have shown that when people return from vacation, they have lower stress levels. Okay, so that would have made sense, and that's talking about an advantage. But here, it really just felt like you were talking about reasons why people travel. Okay, and that's not the right perspective to take. Let's see. We fixed the grammar, we fixed the vocabulary, so let's move on to your next paragraph. On the other hand, although traveling is a good pastime, not to relief, relief is a noun, is a good pastime for relaxation. It is a great investment. Sometimes it needs, no, I don't know what this means. To save money for mouth like the mouth that you eat with, that doesn't make sense. Sometimes It is a great investment and sometimes needs months with an N to save with a V money. This is largely because when we travel anywhere, people would like to stay in a suitable and safe place, and the majority of them are expensive. In Mexico City, it is known that if people travel without the will, in the most common places, for instance, Yucatan Peninsula, individuals need to save with a V money, having in mind that in those zones, dollar is the currency, and in the same way, if they want to travel abroad. So what does that mean? Like, so dollars is the currency. All right. So again, what are you telling us? What's the disadvantage here? I'm not clear. You're not making it clear what the disadvantage of this is. All right. So I feel like there's really some misunderstanding of this task. You're not talking about what a disadvantage of travel is. So what could a disadvantage be? A disadvantage could be the destruction of the environment, that jet fuels from planes, really harm the air, then harm the environment. That's one thing. It also creates noise pollution. Have you ever tried living or being around an airport? Very noisy. Also, talk about how it changes the local landscape. So if you've got a place that's beautiful and all of a sudden, tourists start coming to it, it really sort of changes the shape and the face of the location, and it ceases many times to be the reason why people went there to begin with, okay? So it stops being a place of natural beauty and instead really just caters to tourists. Another disadvantage of travel could be, I'm just trying to give you some ideas here, that a lot of tourist areas become so expensive that the actual people who live there cannot afford things in their own region. Okay. For example, I know that this happens in a number of islands around the world where, the facilities and everything, restaurants and even supermarkets are so expensive catering for tourists that the actual locals cannot afford to shop there. So these are some of the things that you could have mentioned about disadvantages of travel, all right? Just to kind of put your, to understand the perspective that you needed to take with this essay, okay? So let's look at the conclusion. From the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that having a trip helps people to forget daily work for some time, but it is important to have the budget for making it. That doesn't work. The budget for it done. It is predicted that although traveling is a great investment, more people will prefer to travel more often each year. That doesn't make sense either. Although, so it's great, but people will travel more? That doesn't make sense. It should be travel is wonderful, so people will invest more in travel. Okay? So, Emilio, it's not really one of the strongest essays that you've written for us. It did have some flaws throughout, primarily with the perspective that you took in answering the question. You didn't really address advantages and disadvantages here clearly. So that needed a little work. And plus, there were lexical and grammatical mistakes throughout as well. So let's take a look now at your task 1 about the movie preferences. The bar chart depicts the popularity of 6 types of movies, namely romantic, horror, drama, drama, animation, action, and comedy. It never said 12 to 17-year-olds. Where does it say that? It says young adults. I don't know why you assumed it meant 12 to 17. It never said adolescents. So I'm a little confused by this. It is clear from the chart that comedy movies are more popular than the other 5, not genders, genres. Okay? For both boys and girls. Again, they never said that they're boys and girls. Young adults for me means that they're adults. Maybe they're 18, 19, 20, maybe 21. But adult means over 18. So I don't really know why you decided to call them boys or, chose 12 to 17. Let's see. There's a noticeable difference between the percentages of men and women who watch different kinds of movies, in particular romantic films. Okay, fine. By looking at the chart in more detail, we can see that men prefer to watch movies about comedy and action with 145 and 137 viewers, you could have said, respectively. There is a similar amount of men that would rather watch animation, drama, and horror films, between 73 and 63 boys. Okay. Around 1/5 of the boys, keep saying boys, that prefer to watch comedy, prefer to see movies about romance. Okay. I would have liked some sort of a linker here. Somebody just pointing out that it's the least popular, just the way that you said, that comedy was more popular than other types. It's important to also point out what the least popular is too. Okay. Furthermore, this isn't really a furthermore. You're now switching sides. You're talking about women now as opposed to men. So rather than furthermore, which kind of implies a continuation, you should have had a different linker here. Maybe like in contrast. Or as for women, okay? Or as far as women are concerned, you could have also said. This shows that you're, now entering a different topic. So, as for women, 137 prefer to watch comedy movies, followed by romantic films with 116, full stop. This last number is roughly 4 times greater than the number of boys that prefer to see romantic films. Okay. Didn't you just tell us 1/5? All right. Well, I'm not going to do the math. I'm assuming that you did it. The amount of girls who would rather watch action, animation, drama, and horror movies fluctuated. It didn't fluctuate. There's no fluctuation here. It ranged, and that's different. Fluctuation was when we have one of these chronological charts where you show change over time. There is no change over time here. So a good word to have used here would have been ranged. So movies ranged between 86 and 54 young women around the world. Okay, so you included all the information. That was good. Yeah, I mean, I liked some things, but clearly there were some problems with the vocabulary. And also, like I said, you kept referring to them as boys. And there was one section there where you kept using the word boy, 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 boy. Got rather repetitive. And quite frankly, as I already told you, it should have been men. But even if you had used men so often, that would have been very repetitive as well. So you needed to find ways to use pronouns, to use other synonyms. One word that I gave you before was viewer. There were other ways you could have rephrased this so that you could avoid using boy, girl so much. All right, go ahead, correct these, and let's see more work from you. Good luck.